welcome to another edition of After the Whistle. What day are we on? March 7th, Wednesday. I forgot what day we are. As you can tell, it's just me here. Todd had some stuff he had to deal with, so he couldn't make it today. So he's all right, but he was just, he's got a lot going on right now, so he's preparing to go somewhere, so he got to handle certain stuff. So he's not here this week. He'll be here next week, hopefully. He'll be here next week, but he's not here this week. But I'm going to hold it down for the both of us. And y'all will see him again, but, I'll talk to him later, too. But I'm here. Pedro's here. So y'all going to deal with the two of us. And there's a lot to talk about, a lot going on in the sports world, high school sports, high school basketball state tournament is ramping up. I will get you updated with that later on in the program. But first, we got to go to the NBA, where since All-Star break, there's just been a lot of news in the NBA, a lot of headlines, especially pertaining to Memphis Grizzlies. This is a team that's just been going this way. They were a number 2 seed, and I think they still are a number 2 seed, but let me double check this for y'all. I believe they're still number 2 seed, but they lost last night to the Lakers, and their season has been going this way, and it starts with their leader, the best player on their team. No, they're not the 2 seed. They're the 3 seed now. They've been replaced by the Sacramento Kings. So, the Grizzlies. Ja Morant announced that he will be stepping away from the team for a little bit. This comes after last week, where he decided that it was a good idea to start showing guns on Instagram Live as he was at a strip club. Now, I don't know if that's the smartest things to do, to show guns on Instagram where you have so many followers, on Instagram Live where a lot of people are following you, but I don't know. That's not the smartest thing. This also comes after allegations of an incident that he had with a teenager where he pointed a gun at a 17-year-old and some other stuff at a mall in Memphis. So there's a lot going on with Ja Morant right now. A lot going on with Ja Morant that does not involve the game of basketball. And when you start making headlines for something other than basketball, then as you know, the NBA will get involved and start stepping in, but right now he's away from the team. And the incident, this latest incident, it's kind of like a young man just doing a little too much. Just doing a little too much. We've all been young. We've all had our immature phases. But he's young with money. And when you're young with money, I think you can get away with a lot of things, or certain things. And sometimes you need to chill out. You need to step back and you need to look at what exactly is you doing, especially when it pertains to him. With most of these incidents involved guns. And you're going on a slippery slope right there. I don't know if he has a license to carry. I would just assume that he has a license to carry, because since he loves guns apparently, but he's a Southern boy, so them folks in the South are a little different with their guns. But you just can't be showing off your guns on Instagram Live, and you can't be threatening people with guns, especially teenagers. I don't know what was the situation with that. I guess it was over a pickup basketball game or something. But yeah, this is just not a good look for Ja, and it's not a good look for the franchise. And a lot of older folks would say, like, does this young man want to live to, so he could see himself grow old? Because playing with guns or just doing anything with guns irresponsibly too is not the smartest of decisions. And you could just go look back at the player from the Raiders who nothing happened, but he was released. Good player for the Raiders, defensive player, but the Raiders released him because he went on IG Live and started flashing his guns or making threats to people that, I forget the context, but he was making threats. And he was on IG Live with that. So for that, I don't think it's never smart to show their guns on Instagram, on social media. All right. Even if you have a license to carry and you are a responsible gun owner, because most responsible gun owners don't do stuff like that. So hopefully Ja, he just calms down a little bit. He's only 23. give them a little. 23-year-olds tend to do stupid things. We've all been 23 before. We've all been in our 20s and done some stuff that we kind of look back and regret. So give Ja, maybe he'll use this time away from the team to look at it and just realize how blessed he is to be playing a sport that he loves and doing a job that a lot of people wish they were in the position to be doing. So because it's a billion-dollar industry. The NBA is a billion-dollar industry. And one thing I know about billion-dollar industries, they will not tolerate certain things. And when you start doing stuff like this is the cause of it. The league will get involved, and you don't want no outside forces to get involved, such as, the feds. You don't want the feds to start getting involved. All right, so we'll see what happens with this story with the Grizzlies and Ja Morant, and let's see. But we just hope he does some self-reflection, and he learns and grows up from this, because so at some point you just have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what was the point of doing all that? And especially when you're in a certain city, especially when you're in a city like Memphis, where we've seen people from there get killed. We saw young Dolph get killed in Memphis. So there's been other artists, and it's just not smart to just keep showing guns on social media at all. All right. And what does this do for the Grizzlies season? Well, the Grizzlies season has been spiraling backwards. Okay, so one, you have this Ja Morant incident, which he's away from the team. Then next, you have Brandon Clark, who is done for the season. I believe he had tore his Achilles, so he's out for the season. A good role player for them. And then we have Dylan Brooks. Mr. likes to get a lot of fouls, likes to get a lot of technicals. So he already just returned from suspension for receiving his 16th technical foul. And I believe every tech after that, he might serve as a suspension. So this team is with 20 some odd games, or not even, with less than 20 games left in the season, they are trending in the wrong direction. And you see some of the teams behind them in the standings that's catching up. Phoenix, which is playing some good basketball right now, that Kevin Durant has finally suited up for them. Dallas, they're only a couple games out of it from that. They're only 4 games out of it from that number 2 spot. And creeping up is Golden State. Golden State, if they can put together a streak going on here, they have a chance to surpass the Grizzlies. So right now, the Grizzlies, and they've lost 3 in a row. They've lost, in their last 10, they're 5-5. Their season is, they went from having home court to now they'll probably have home court for 1 round if they stay at that number 3 spot. And at that number 3 spot, it looks like they will draw the Golden State Warriors. So they got a lot of work cut out for them, and they need to find a way to close out the season strong, because at this rate, it'll look like a first-round exit for that young team who has championship expectations this season because of so much success they had last season. So it's going to be a rough one for the Grizzlies. And last night they fell to the Lakers in LA. By 9 points. So currently on a 3-game losing streak, as I said before. And of course, next up for them is the Warriors tomorrow night. Granted, they'll be at home, so they'll probably play better, but it's a tough stretch right now for the Grizzlies. They need to get a win, and they need a win badly. Another team in the West I just talked about, but I'll talk more about them, is the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant. And my goodness, if you wanna be a coach to come up with a game plan to stop the Kevin Durant and Devin Booker screen and roll, or the numerous plays that they'll have with Kevin Durant coming off a flare screen, and he has DeAndre Ayton, setting that flare screen. It's pick your poison. If you throw that double team at Durant, you throw 2 guys at him coming off that flare screen, he could just dump it off to Ayton, who could get an easy bucket at the rim. Yeah, there's other plays. If you don't double team him, he'll just rise up and shoot over you. So the Suns' offense right now is gonna look scary, and the more these guys play together, the more this will be. It's gonna be tough. It's already hard enough to stop a team that has one scorer, lethal scorer, but a team that has three, and two of them can shoot are 50-40 guys from inside and out and from three. It's just a tough cover. It's a tough cover. And right now in this three-game winning streak for the Suns, since Durant made his debut with them, Durant has scored 23 points. He had, I believe, 34. I have the numbers right here. I'm sorry. Give me a second as I bring these numbers up. So, Durant, in the 3 games that he's played, he's had 23 points, 20 points, and 37 points. He shot 60% from the field in one game, 60% from three-point line in one game, 50 in another. That's 50 in back-to-back games. And his field goal percentage is 70, 70, 66, while shooting 100% from the free throw line in one game, 80% in another game, and 90%. And then he's just giving you an all-around game. He's showing the full arsenal, and yeah, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. The Nuggets were looking like the favorite to come out the West, but this trade it's just hard. It's hard to stop a guy like Kevin Durant and then a guy like Devin Booker. It makes his life a lot easier. And the thing about Kevin Durant, he doesn't need that many shots. Kevin Durant will get you 20 points on 12 shots. He'll get you 30 points on probably like 10 shots. As I look at his field goal percentage, his field goal attempts in these games, he has 42 field goal attempts in 3 games. 12 for 17, 7 for 10, 10 for 15. That's what I'm talking about right there. He does not need that much shots, and he's very efficient. So, good luck. Good luck to everybody trying to stop that right there, because boy, is that scary to stop. We move on. The NFL. Speaking of scary, a lot of teams are scared to make moves. I'll talk about that in a couple segments. But first off, Derek Carr has landed a home in New Orleans. Carr will sign a deal with the New Orleans Saints, who have been thirsting for a quarterback since Drew Brees retired. They had the Jameis Winston experiment, which I guess that's all about done. And you still got that what's that guy's name? I forget his name. Taysom Hill. You still got Taysom Hill, who they keep trying to make people think he's a real NFL quarterback, and he's not. So they went on and signed a really good NFL quarterback. He's not great, but he's a really good NFL quarterback. And that team has a lot of weapons. So free agency starts March 15th, but Derek Carr will be a Saint. He'll sign that contract, and the deal is a 4-year deal. I'm sorry, I can't even talk. It's a 4-year deal with the Saints. So this move makes the team in a division that right now I don't even know who the best team is. Brady's retired. The Falcons have no quarterback. I have no idea what the Panthers are doing. Panthers have at quarterback, I should say. I don't know what they're doing with the quarterbacks, but the Panthers have good players on the team, but quarterback is still a question mark. So you look at that division, the Saints still have Alvin Kamara. I don't know about what's his name? I'm forgetting players' names. The receiver for the Saints, let me look this up in a second. But they still have Alvin Kamara. They still have a lot of offensive players that are left on that team that weren't able to contribute because they just didn't have the roster. I mean, they didn't have the quarterback, and they were so inconsistent at quarterback last year. The quarterback play, I should say, it's been so inconsistent. So, You went from Andy Dalton is still on there. As I was saying, Alvin Kamara. That's it. I can't forget. Michael Thomas. That's it. His name Michael Thomas. I don't know if he'll ever be the same guy that he was before, but he's still there. And there's some young guys on that team that that made little splashes. So the Saints, I think it's a good move. You picked up a solid quarterback. Your division is not that strong, so you have an opportunity to win that division if you guys do produce on offense, and they still got those guys on defense that have made that defense really good. So kudos to the Saints on making that move. They needed it. So I can't knock them. And I think Derek Carr is a good, mature leader for that team. So always good to have vets. There's always good to have vets. All right. The Seattle Seahawks have given in Geno Smith. It's like Geno Smith has a resurrection or so, but Smith got a new deal with the Seahawks. The deal was announced the other day. This deal is worth $105 million with $30 million in incentives, and it's $75 million over 3 years, and he got fully guaranteed of $40 million. And this is a 4-year deal, I believe it is, and this is for a guy who had a resurrection of a season last year, helping Seattle get to the playoffs, put up a fight against San Francisco, but San Francisco was just a better team all year that year. And he's coming off a season where he threw for over 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a QBR of 60.8. He had an all-pro season for a guy who was on the bench for the longest time. He was a backup for a while, and it's kind of like it's like the resurrection of Geno Smith. He came back, played extremely well. He had some great games this past season, and that Seattle offense, they really look good, but especially when they needed to make the playoff push. Geno played well. He didn't make that many mistakes. He did not turn the ball over as he used to. That is the biggest thing. When Geno was a starter with the Jets, turned the ball over a lot. This year he only threw 11 interceptions. That's not too much. That's not too much compared to 30 touchdowns. So Geno really showed what it's like. He really showed that if you take a step back, you watch the game from the sideline for a while, and you get that opportunity to seize that opportunity, and Geno seized that opportunity, and you can't, you got to give him credit. He stayed ready, and look at him now. He got himself a new deal, and he'll be in Seattle for 4 more years. And Seattle, maybe they could build something off that, because people thought they were gonna falter backwards with the trade of Russell Wilson, but that did not happen. So good move by Seattle. I like the move, and good job for Geno. Good kudos to Geno. And another quarterback that just got a big deal, Daniel Jones. Pedro, I don't know why the Giants decided to throw this guy all this money. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, but you have a playoff run like the Giants had. You win one game, and you get $160 million. But
it happens all the time, It's nothing new.
Yeah, I told you, and I tell you, one of my goals in life is to trick somebody to overpay me for a job I'm underqualified or overqualified for, or underqualified for, because
just be a Giant.
they've been starving. The Giants have been starving for a quarterback since Eli Manning retired. They've been trying to find somebody to make their franchise quarterback, and I guess. Granted, what I'll give the Giants credit for is the coaching staff there. Really good coaching staff. It looks like the head coach knows what he's doing. It just comes down to, can this guy be consistent? You're getting $82 million guaranteed. So, yeah. I mean, quarterback is the most needed position, and some teams will just, if you show a glimpse that you could do something, even if you can't do it consistently, but if you show a glimpse, there are teams that are just, they'll back up the Brinks truck for you. So here's a guy that, he finished 50th in the league in passing. He was tied at 21 for interceptions, throwing 15. Touchdowns. He threw 15 touchdowns, but granted, he didn't throw that many interceptions this year. He didn't fumble like he did. He didn't fumble the ball a whole lot like he usually does. So I guess that's one cause. But in some of the biggest games when they needed him, he just, I don't know, he wasn't the guy. He wasn't the guy. I think so. That playoff game against the Vikings really tricked everybody. He threw 301 yards, but then the following, and 2 touchdowns and no picks, but the following week, you look at his production against the Giants in that, with a chance to go to the NFC Championship game, it was pedestrian. It wasn't pedestrian. It was bad. It was bad. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. Very, very, very bad, I should say. But I guess whatever works. If you want to pay him, go ahead and pay him. But I would not throw all that money at D Jones. But the Giants did. Good for him. You were able to convince them. You got your money. Now it's time to produce. They franchise tag Saquon Barkley, who the NFL don't value running back, so it's like the running back is a thankless, replaceable position nowadays. So even if you're really, really talented, so we'll see that. But and the Giants gave, I believe it was a Kenny Galladay or whatever his name was. I think it was Kenny Galladay. I'm gonna double check for y'all. But they released him after giving him a big contract, and I believe in 3 years with the Giants, he only caught 1 touchdown. He was only given 1 touchdown. So the Giants, some of their free agency moves that they made in the past was not the smartest of the moves. But we will see what happens with we'll see how their season goes. Yeah, Galladay, Kenny Galladay. The Giants released him. Let me just backtrack and double check. Yeah. They released him so they could save themselves $6.7 million, and he was set to count for $21.4 million against the cap against the Giants. So he finished his Giants career with 43 catches, 602 yards, and 1 touchdown. That is bad for a guy they gave a 4-year, $72 million deal in 2021. Anyways, and then last of our NFL news, a quarterback who should be getting the big bucks, but for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe y'all can tell me why, but I don't know why. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens franchise tagged him, hoping to get a long-term deal done. And this also gives other teams that are in need of quarterback an opportunity to trade for Lamar Jackson, but the Raiders, the Commanders, there was a couple other teams, the Falcons, all teams that need a quarterback. They say they have no interest in looking into getting Lamar Jackson, which makes no sense to me or any sane person in this universe whatsoever, because why would no team want a former league MVP, a guy who's basically been throwing to secondary receivers his whole career? Why would no team want to trade for him, especially the Falcons? Especially the Atlanta Falcons, just because of the city, their fan base. They had a guy they had Vic, and they saw how much the city loved Vic, and that city would love Lamar Jackson too. I don't know why in the world they would say that they're fine at quarterback when they don't even have one. They don't even have a quarterback. So that makes 0 sense. The Commanders, that team is just a hot mess. They don't, you signed Carson Wentz, that didn't work. Taylor Heineke, he's just a backup. That's not going to work. The Saints had a chance to sign him, but they got Derek Carr before that could go. The Jets, I don't know why the Jets are not looking into trying to get Lamar Jackson. They have all the offensive weapons in the world for a guy Lamar Jackson could use at his disposal. And teams are reluctant to give him the fully guaranteed contract that he's looking for, which is similar to Deshaun Watson, and it seems like a collusion. A lot of people saying it's like a collusion by the owners because the Deshaun Watson Deshaun Watson deal was so bad that they don't want to give Lamar Jackson that same type of deal, even though Lamar Jackson's a better player. He's shown that he could, not be in trouble or not make headlines for the wrong reasons. So I think a lot of these teams are really showing themselves, especially in not wanting to trade for Lamar Jackson, because if I was a franchise in need of a quarterback, I would trade for Lamar Jackson ASAP. I'd trade for him today. But no, they're not doing it. So we'll see what happens here. As I was saying, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Commanders. Oh my gosh! When you see so many of these NFL teams with some of the people they have at quarterback, you're just wondering, like, do they even care about winning? And especially some of the other teams who haven't won anything for a while. So it's like, come on, guys, let's get it together. Let's get it together. But the Ravens need to give this guy his money. He's done everything for that franchise, and they haven't done everything to help surround him with the talent pool that he needs to help them bring another Super Bowl back to Baltimore. So they're going to mess around and they might lose him, and then it's like start from scratch. We'll see what happens. All right, and now, no huddle. We're going to go back to Craig. Craig was gone for a little bit. Y'all didn't see him on no huddle for a little bit because once football's done, no huddle comes around here and there. But free agency is about to start, so here's no huddle with Craig. He's gonna talk to you. He's gonna tell y'all about all the stuff that's happened, and then we'll come back.
What up, everybody? Welcome to No Huddle here on After the Whistle. It's your boy Craig, and I'm talking quarterback moves this season in the off season. Let's start off with some of the lesser notable quarterbacks. Carson Wentz was officially released by the Commanders, freeing him up to go anywhere. Some teams I think that could pursue him would be the Cardinals. I think they could really use a guy like him on their roster. The Jets, if they don't go after Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay, if they lose Aaron Rodgers. So there are a few places he can land. There's a lot of places he could land as a solid backup. But Carson Wentz has been released, as has Marcus Mariota. Look for him to probably get signed somewhere as a backup QB. I don't think that he would become a starter on any roster. Then you have Geno Smith, who just signed a very, very lucrative 3-year deal with the Seahawks. The reason why I would normally say I don't like this is because you got one good season out of Geno Smith, someone no one expected to really get a lot of playing time, and he came in, he stepped up in a big way. Do I believe that this can carry over season after season, or even for one whole season? I'm not completely convinced of that. But where I like it is if you draft a QB in this year's draft, he gives you a perfect ability for a developmental quarterback, especially a quarterback like Anthony Richardson. Then you have Daniel Jones getting a 4-year, $160 million deal with $36 million in incentives. And this one blew my mind. I do not believe Daniel Jones to be a franchise quarterback. Yes, they had a very good year this past year, making it to the playoffs, even winning a playoff game. But Daniel Jones is like at the top of the bottom of the pile. And I don't know. I don't even think he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC, period. So tough payout right there, but it is what it is. One of the biggest signings to me was Derick Coulanges to the Saints. The Raiders released him from his contract, freeing him up. A lot of places he could have landed. I was really hoping for him to go somewhere like the 49ers or Tampa Bay. A lot of people were speculating he could end up on the Jets. He actually met with the Jets, but then signs with the Saints. I do like this. They have a top 5 running back in Alvin Kamara. They have a excellent rookie wide receiver, will be a second-year wide receiver. So they've got weapons. They've got an excellent defense, way better defense than he's ever had. Good offensive line. So I think he can thrive in this environment. I do believe that they need to acquire more weapons for him. You know, a running back and a wide receiver can't do it all, and I don't believe Michael Thomas is going to stay. Aaron Rodgers looking like he could end up on the Jets this coming season. He's had meetings. They've flown out to California. So a lot of talk about him going to the Jets. Surprises me. Once again, another teams I would have expected him to go to would be teams like the 49ers, making a play for Miami. A lot of places he can go. The Jets would be unexpected to me. But hey, crazier things have happened. So we'll see how that situation plays out. And I think that's all we have for wide receivers. Josh Jacobs and Evan Ingram have been franchise tagged. And Lamar Jackson, that was the big news. Sorry, Lamar Jackson put on an unrestricted franchise tag, meaning any team could create a deal for him. And if he likes that deal, he can accept it. And the Ravens can also decide to match it. If they choose not to match it, he signs with that team, and they get 2 first-round picks. Me personally, I think it's time to move on from Baltimore. I think Baltimore should move on from Lamar because this situation did not help their relationship. So that's all I have for you this week. Till next week, see you on No Huddle. Back after the whistle.
And we are back. All right. It is time for, thank you, Craig, for that. It is time for Athletes Corner. We got the St. Mary's boys basketball team. We had Anthony, Derick, Omri, and David Brown Jr. with us to talk about their state tournament run, and also, they won last night. So they are in the round of 8. They'll be playing Saturday at Salem State. They'll take on Tech Boston. This should be a good one. So, Athletes Corner, and then we're gonna come back with our high school sports update. Hello and welcome to another edition of Athletes Corner. Today we got the St. Mary's Spartan boys basketball team. Derek, David, Anthony, and Omri. How you fellas doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
All right, you guys are getting ready to defend your state title. All right, talk about this season. A lot of ups and downs, injuries, and all that, but you guys still were able to get the number 2 seed. Just talk about how the experience you guys had coming back and how it played into, you guys just overcoming certain injuries early on in the season.
I thought that we battled through a lot. We lost, losing David, that was big for us, but I feel like we found a way to, push through and make it until he came back. And we kind of, now that it's March, we're kind of in our final form, I feel like, and we're going to start playing our best basketball. Quickly
before we get into more of that, you guys kind of have a long time off before your next game because you played last Wednesday and then you play again this Friday. You think that'll have any early effects in a game, or does it have any effect of a game just to have that much time off before a game?
I don't really think so because, yesterday we scrimmaged the alumni. They came down, so we were running up and down the court, and then in practice we always go live, we'll go over plays. So I think we'll be ready for it.
I also think that break was necessary to rest up and get ready for the playoffs too.
Yeah, definitely. For you guys, your roles changed this year, especially you two. You guys' roles changed this year from last year. How were you just two able to embrace that role? You got more looks as far as outside shots and a lot more touches with the basketball. And Omri, you just got a bigger role offensively. How were you guys just able to embrace those roles?
At first, it definitely was tough. Also, just trying to get back into the flow and stuff with like missing Ali. A lot of the time I didn't have to do much for myself besides just wait for Ali to throw me the ball. But this year you had to do a lot more, be a lot more places, and recognize what was going on quicker.
Yeah.
I'd say definitely for me last year, obviously I came off the bench. This year, especially with him missing the first couple of games, I had to like step and play the point guard role a little bit too. So just being confident, you know, knowing that I put the work in the off season, that it'll pay off.
Was that a role you played before? Were you comfortable in that role at first, or did you have to? It took you a little bit to get comfortable in it.
I played point guard my whole life. Like back in Revere when I played like travel at AAU, I'd always play points, so I was ready for it.
All right, definitely. David, for you, how was it? You guys coming off football, and you had to sit out a certain amount of games with the injuries. How was it for you? Just you had to watch and not play. You know, what was that like for you? Not being on the court because of injury.
Yeah. Starting off, I didn't think it would affect me as bad. But then I think once we lost to Cardinal Spellman the first game of the season, it kind of hit me that I'm gonna have to just keep watching this, and it's tough when you sit on the sideline not being if you see something I recognize so much more watching from the game. I couldn't do anything because I was on the sideline. I couldn't go on the court and do anything, so it was tough.
Yeah. You guys, your schedule. You guys played. I forget where they ranked your schedule, but it was a tough schedule. How did you guys feel about how you guys came out of that? Especially in the non-league games, when you guys played those non-league opponents.
Yeah, we went to we played Brockton, St. Benedict's at the start of the year. That was probably so far the toughest team that they've played. Well, I didn't get to play in that game, but we played against a lot of talented big schools, a bunch of athletes in the schools. So it prepared us a lot well for what's upcoming for playoffs. So I think that really helped us a lot. Even some of the games we lost, we were right there all the way. Playing against Worcester North, one of the better teams in the state in D1. That helped us a lot because we learned we had to box out. They probably had one kid that had 15 offensive rebounds. So it just prepared us well.
Yeah, definitely. And Derick, for you, coming into your senior year, what was your mindset coming into your senior year, knowing that you guys had a good chance of repeating? Because granted, you lost some key guys from last year's team, but you had a good core coming back.
I still, I thought it took a while for, me to settle in and realize that at first I took it as we're a different team and we're going to have to play different. But I feel realistically we're the same. We have 5 guys coming back. Obviously, we don't have Ali and a Henry, but I said we still have 5 seniors coming back, 5 guys who played last year. So I think that I feel I came in I had a lot of confidence in us. And I thought that, we'd be a very good basketball team. I thought we'd have a better record. I didn't think we should have lost some. I honestly think we should have won all those games besides St. Benedict's, honestly. But, you lose sometimes, so.
Yeah. And then you guys you 3 play football. You did cross country?
Yeah, cross country.
You did cross country. Getting in shape, that was no issue with you guys? Did you guys just already come in basketball shape and ready to go?
We had one day. We only had one day off. We had one day off between the Super Bowl game, and then we had one day off, and then tryouts was on Monday. So my body was more tired, if anything.
Yeah. All right.
I definitely wasn't ready. That condition at the beginning of the year was something else. To be honest with you.
For me, that was crazy. I was running with the cast on, knowing that I couldn't play. I was what am I running for? That day that Josiah was late, we ran the 80. We ran 60 suicides or something like that.
Ridiculous.
And I was just why am I running? I'm
He put the clock up and everything?
Yeah, it just moved on.
That was something else. That was definitely something else.
All right, we looking into Division III, and you guys are number 2. I think Archbishop Williams is number 1, but it's a long path to get to the state finals up in Lowell. As you guys look at some of the teams on your side of the bracket, what do you guys notice about the teams? If you have any familiarity with any of those teams.
Well, yeah, I see Tech Boston's on our side. We've always played against those kids in fall league, so we know how most of them are. And then who else is on our side? It's pretty good. Dover Sherborne. Yeah, they have a really good win.
I played them last year.
Yeah, they played us. I think the toughest, probably in the last couple games of the season. It was I think they were winning at one point in the 4th quarter maybe. So we know what most teams have and Williams and Spellman, they're obviously really good opponents. So we've played them early in the season, so I think we'll be ready.
How do you guys feel about the whole statewide tournament too? How do you guys like it? Especially, granted, you guys position yourself where you don't have to be traveling to like Western or Central Mass, but overall, how do you guys feel about that? The whole state tournament, how like it's aligned and like certain teams with good records got to go this place, and certain teams with not so good records get home games.
I think it's a little crazy, but I definitely do like the state tournament. I like having the bragging rights saying, oh, we're here in this state, or we won states, or like, we are the winners of this state. I like that.
I was seeing, I saw the other day in like California how they have something called like the open division, where it's like there's no division, so it's like the top best teams in like the state of California play each other. So I wish like Massachusetts kind of had that, because like we won last year and everyone's like, oh, it's D3, but it's still a chip.
Yeah, they used to. I think they do it in hockey. It's like the Super 8 or something like that. They do that. Quickly, you made your decision to go to Bentley. You made your decision, Kobe.
Yeah.
Is it? Can you both just talk about what played a role into you guys making those decisions to the schools that you're gonna go to?
Well, I've been up to Bentley probably 3 or maybe 2 times there. So I like met the coaches a lot. I talked to them probably like the whole fall. They were always contacting me like after every game. So like seemed like they were really like involved. Like they wanted like to see how I was gonna be. So it was just like see how much they cared about you. And like that's what like just made my decision.
For me, I toured a bunch of colleges over the summer. They always say like when you see the college that you know you want to go to, like you'll get that feeling the first time you visit. And I feel like I just had that with Colby. I only visited once. I met with the coach. I saw like all the facilities and stuff like that, and I just kind of like fell in love with it once I went.
For my guys here, how long of a time frame do you guys are giving yourselves to make y'all decisions on where you go next? So you have options already?
Yeah, no, I have a couple options. I should be making my decision this month.
No, same for me. I just want to, like, the way I applied to college, it took a while for all the applications to get sent through, so I'm just kind of waiting to hear it back from all the schools so I make my decision.
All right. And lastly, freshman JJ, how big has he been for you guys this season? Because he's got games where he scored 30, he's got games where he's had 20 or some 10, but every time he's in the game, it seems like he's always helping you guys, a major contributor, and it has an impact on the game.
Yeah, coming in this year, I feel like kind of that, knowing David was going to be out to start the year, I feel like that like 5th spot was kind of like up for grabs. I feel like throughout the fall leagues, JJ's really just like proven himself, showing like how capable he is, and like even with David back, he's basically a 6th starter for us. Yeah. Like when we struggled to score like Cathedral, we struggled a little bit. JJ just kind of took over and like took the game into his own hands. So it's nice having that coming off the bench, definitely.
Does it shock any of you that he's able to produce the way he does?
No.
A little bit probably in the summer and fall. Sometimes I would coach them, mostly in the fall because of football, so I wasn't playing. Like sometimes he'd make some moves, I'd be like how is he a freshman? And like the Cathedral game, I was sitting on the bench and once he got to like 27, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. He puts the work in, so he put all of the work in all in the off season. Like it was no surprise, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Friday, the winner of
Linfield East Boston.
They play the winner of Linfield East Boston. It's actually a doubleheader. The girls, you guys are first, and the girls are after.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're not doing nothing Friday, go to St. Mary's, doubleheader, get a 2-for-1. Watch the girls, watch the boys, support them, check them out. Before we leave, plug your social medias in.
Instagram, Derick Coulanges, Twitter, Derick Coulanges 1.
My Instagram is David_Brown Jr. and my Twitter is David_Brown Jr. too.
My Instagram is @dtria_3, and then my Twitter is @dtria_Anthony.
Yeah, Instagram, Omri Merryman, and Twitter, Omri Merryman.
All right, fellas. Good luck on the state tournament. Try to get that other one so you could be the first repeat. That'll be the first repeat since they did it back in 2002, 2003, I think.
Yeah,
no, 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
That'll be the first repeat in the city in a while. Because the other one kind of don't count because COVID. You guys go watch the Athletes Corner. We out of here. All right. And we are back. Okay, high school sports time. All right, time to give y'all some updates. As I said before, last night, a pair of Lynn teams played. KIPP Academy season came to an end last night. as they fell to Pioneer by 1 point. They lost, let me get the score, 59-60, and their season has come to an end. Good effort by the boys from Kip Academy. Good season. Just, oh man, 1 point. Tough loss, but I'm sure those guys, the coaching staff and the administration are proud of their players. Lynn English boys basketball team season came to an end at the hands of Newton North last night in Newton. The Bulldogs lost 52-38. This was after they went into halftime with a 4-point lead, and they had a 7-point lead at one point in this game, but they did not seize the opportunity. When they had the opportunity to blow the game open, they couldn't make no shots. And Newton North just made a couple shots, and then that home court advantage took control. So the Bulldogs end their season with a 20-2 record. They got nothing to hang their heads on as well. But it was definitely frustrating for a team that had championship aspiration and championship talent for their season to come to end like that. But that is basketball. It's a make or miss sport. Bulldogs went 0 for 15 from the three-point line, and that's, you make 5 of those, you win. But hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I'm proud of all those guys, all those young men on the Bulldogs team. They definitely played their hearts out all season long, and they made a lot of believers, and we all thought they would get there, but sometimes it just that's just how the sport goes. The St. Mary's girls, they are also moving on to the round of 8. They dominated Sandwich. I believe that's the team they played. 1 second. Don't mind me, I didn't write nothing down, but the St. Mary's girls, yep, they will be hosting Medway on Friday at home in the round of 8 for a chance to return to the semifinals and try to win back-to-back state championships. They're still playing and alive. The boys will be playing Tech Boston on Saturday, as I said, at Salem State. That will be at 1 o'clock for everybody. And congratulations to Kellen. She scored her 1,000th career point yesterday, so the Spartans got 3,000-point scorers on their team as well, and that is not a lot of team could say that they have 3,000-point scorers on one team, which is remarkable. Lynn Tech boys, they lost to Tingsboro Friday. That one was that was a little back and forth game late in that second half, but I think the inexperience just came, and being on the road as well. I think I'll have a rant for another day on that one about. But anyways, that is that. We got no interviews, no post-game or player interviews for y'all this week, but we do got highlights from last night's Lynn English Newton North game. So check these highlights out, and then we're gonna come back. All right, and we are back. Okay, Heads up, March Madness is right around the corner. We got conference tournaments happening right now. Some teams have already punched their tickets to the dance. ACC tournament is going on today. This week, Boston College moved on. They defeated Louisville yesterday afternoon, I should say, and they will be playing North Carolina tonight, I should say, at 7 p.m. So good luck to the BC boys. Conference play, college basketball. March Madness is right around the corner. Fill out the brackets. We don't got no boxing updates this week, but in a couple weeks we'll have some boxing updates for you all. We've come to the end of our program. We've come to the end. As I said before, Todd will be back next week. I disappeared. I don't know what happened. I disappeared. But Todd will be back next week. I'll be here next week as well. Before we get out of here as well. Today is Todd's his twin cousin's birthday. So shout out to his cousins. Today is their birthday. So happy birthday to the twins. Also, happy birthday to my young guy Vinny. Turned 23 today. Happy birthday to him. Who else's birthday is coming up? There's some birthdays coming up. Oh, happy birthday to my brother Ezra. His birthday's Friday. All you March babies, we're gonna give y'all birthday shout outs. Got my niece's birthday coming up. There's a bunch of birthdays coming up. So shout out to everybody who's celebrating a birthday. All right. LynnTV.org. Make sure you go to the website, catch up on any shows, go to the VOD to catch up on anything. If you want to watch past episodes of After the Whistle, go on that. If you want to watch the Sports Wrap, I believe that's the show, right? It's called the Sports Wrap?
That's correct.
Yep, the Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap Up.
Sports Wrap Up. Check that out as well. Make sure you watch that. Make sure you catch up on everything happening around the city on the website and also the Instagram page, Lynn Community Television, Facebook page, Lynn Community Television, YouTube, all things Lynn. Make sure you check that out. And for me, I'm out of here. We'll see y'all next week. I got a flight to catch.